House Bill number 4488.
Well, I will have, I suppose, a Merry Christmas because this is as fine a Christmas gift as can be received by any president from his legislature. This is the quickest and the fastest, and the SP, the fastest passage of the national budget that we have seen so far. There are many things that we would like to do. And we are slowly moving in that direction. We are doing all the structural changes that we need. All of these elements that are important for us to position ourselves in the new economy after the pandemic.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Danny Laurel. The big story tonight.
It is official, President Bongbong Marcos has signed the 5.2 trillion peso national budget for next year.
However, the details on the reported vetoed items have yet to be released by the Malacanang Mayan Los Baños with the big story.
President Bongbong Marcos signed into law the 5.268 trillion peso budget on Friday. This is the first full-year spending plan approved under his administration. President Marcos said that the quick and timely passage of the bill is a good Christmas gift for him.
Well, I will have, I suppose, a Merry Christmas because this is as fine a Christmas gift as can be received by any president from his legislature.
President Marcos also welcomed the cooperation between the legislature and the executive.
There are many things that we would like to do, and we are slowly moving in that direction. The legislature has been very cooperative in making what amendments that we find are necessary to the laws in terms of investment, in terms of our financial policy.
Among the officials that attended the budget signing were Vice President Sara Duterte, senators and congressmen led by Senate President Mig Zubiri and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. The palace has yet to release the details of the General Appropriations Act. Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman also earlier said that the president will veto 2 to 3 items. However, based on the final version passed by the Bicameral Conference Committee, the education sector received the biggest chunk of the 2023 budget with 900 billion pesos. This is followed by the Public Works Department and the Health Department with 300 billion pesos. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Sonny Angara said that among the programs to be funded by the signed budget bill is targeted cash assistance to be given to families badly hit by the pandemic. Angara also assures the public that the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program or 4Ps will continue to be funded and other assistance for vulnerable sectors. Reporting for News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
Only 6 out of the over 300 House lawmakers rejected the Maharlika bill, prompting its landslide passage in the lower chamber. Albay Solon Edsel Lagman admits that the MIF is a good idea, but he says the country is not yet ready for it amid economic uncertainties. ACT Teachers Representative Franz Castro, meanwhile, slams the railroading of the bill, citing lack of prior consultations. For Congresswoman Arlene Brosas of the Gabriela, the MIF dangerously puts the money of Filipinos on track to a disaster. Over in the upper chamber, Senate President Mig Zubiri says he respects the chamber's procedure on deliberating measures. Senator Amy Marcos, meanwhile, says she is holding off comments for now until a copy of the MIF bill reaches the Senate. On the other hand, Senator Risa Hontiveros opposes the proposal, describing it as premature and a misplaced priority. Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel calls on his fellow senators to take their time in reviewing the MIF bill. He also raised several concerns, including the fund's possible exposure to corruption and conflict of interest.
Kung itong GOCC ay magpa-fund ng mga chosen businesses nasa Republika ng Pilipinas, hindi ba parang crony capitalism na po yan? Hindi ko malakas ka rin sa board na to, tinulungan ka ng Estado para mabuhay ang negosyo mo. So ganun po yun, bantayan natin lahat yun. Kaya tama po yung conflict of interest na rin-raise nyo.
After the break, despite being approved on third and final reading, 6 House members voted no to the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund bill. We will look into that more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're watching the big story here on One News. More and more passengers are braving holiday traffic with just a week left before Christmas. Let's check in on the situation on the ground with Justine Ponsalang, who's reporting live from EDSA Guadalupe. Justine, kamusta dyan?
Robbie, for almost an hour now, the traffic here along EDSA Guadalupe has been fast-flowing. But prior to that, it seemed like both northbound and southbound lanes were like a string of Christmas lights due to the heavy traffic. And MMDA says this is normal because of the Christmas rush. And they say this could go worse in the upcoming days, especially in areas near bus terminals. And we have visited some bus terminals earlier where some people have already started or decided to go home in order to avoid the onslaught of passengers by next week. In this bus terminal in Pasay City, provincial buses are constantly loading passengers. Many of them are bound for Quezon, Laguna, and other provinces in South Luzon and Visayas. They carry with them big bags filled with gifts for the family. Among them is 66-year-old Arsenia, who is bound for Leyte. She says she was not able to come home for a long time. That's why she's excited to finally be with loved ones this Christmas.
Kasi mahirap na sumakay pag malapit na Pasko. Masaya, hindi na makatulog sa sobrang excited.
Cheryl and her 3 daughters meanwhile want to take advantage of the school break. Cheryl says it's the first time that her kids will meet their grandparents in Albay.
Bakasyon na po yung aking mga anak. Ay gusto po nilang matagal-tagal po ang bakasyon sa lola niya.
Meanwhile, the MMDA says more than 417,000 vehicles are now traversing EDSA this holiday season, higher than pre-pandemic levels.
Historically naman po, in the per month, there really is an increase po of around 10% sa ating mga pangunang lansangan. In-identify po ng MMDA ang mga traffic bottlenecks, usually po sa mga small areas. At in the coming days po, we expect rin the bus terminals and bus stations to be congested areas.
This is why MMDA recommends motorists to use the Mabuhay lanes instead. The Transportation Department is also advising the public to leave their homes early and to utilize the free rides at the EDSA bus carousel. Robbie, as of now, trips going to the provinces are still available at PITX. The management, however, advises the public, especially those who are planning on going home by next week, to buy their tickets or reserve their tickets as early as now to avoid further hassle when they travel. Robbie?
Thank you for those updates. Justin Punsalang reporting live from Guadalupe.
The Ninoy Aquino International Airport is also getting busier ahead of the holidays. Gerard De La Peña with this report.
NAIA is already teeming with province-bound passengers a week before Christmas Day. Officials of various airlines said flights are now 90% full. To ease congestion, the Manila International Airport Authority moved AirAsia Cebu and Katiklan flights to Terminal 3. But passengers don't have to worry should they turn up at Terminal 4 by mistake.
We set aside their luggages para wala pong dislocated na mga baggages, and more importantly, nakaabang po ang aming tinatawag na shuttle service that will bring them to the right destination.
The MIAA has also started dismantling structures that were previously used as checkpoints. This is meant to ease access in departure and in picking up passengers. Officials of the U.S. Transport Security Administration has certified NAIA as safe and secure. Meanwhile, transport network company Grab has designated 200 units for those coming from the airport. Despite this, some passengers are still having a hard time booking a ride.
Sa booth is around 2-3 minutes. Medyo mabilis eh. Pero sa personal na phone, I think twice ako nag-book. Around 6 minutes siguro. Matagal talaga.
So, ang tagal mag-book. Parang looking lang siya.
For News 5, Gerard De La Peña, we are One News.
Okay, well, we saw that situation last week traveling in NAIA, but people are still braving that.
Oh, and then going to NAIA. Diba? Para ako personally, my drive from Quezon City to Mandaluyong and Quezon City to Makati and vice versa, I think I've added about 30 minutes to 45 minutes each way.
It's time to be antisocial in Christmas. Okay, but Robbie, speaking of which, let's talk more about this holiday traffic with MMDA spokesperson Melissa Karunungan. She's joining us over the phone. Good evening, ma'am, and welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Ma'am Danny and Sir Robbie.
Okay, Melissa, the question how much volume of vehicles is not the right question. Maraming volume of vehicles, especially along EDSA, no? But give us an idea here of what to expect at the peak periods and how bad is it compared to the normal peak of traffic, which we already experience on a daily basis.
Yes po. So last November 24, 2022, the Traffic Engineering Center of the MMDA had a count po of the vehicles along EDSA every day. It's already at 417,000 vehicles. During the Burr months po, we expect a 10% increase in our major thoroughfares. Usually po kasi it's usually at 400,000. Right now po, nasa 417,000 na po tayo.
Well, ma'am, yung tinanong ni Danny, yung peak hours, first of all, may peak hours pa ba? And for that, I mean, it's a serious question. Ano ang peak hours? And for that matter, meron bang maluwag na oras?
Right now po, usually there is still a rush hour po. That's usually morning around 7 to 10 a.m. at 5 to 8 p.m. However po, in the Christmas season, we see po na may pila na po kahit po hindi na rush hour.
Can I ask, with the inflation so high and the gasoline prices, is the situation on the ground still the same or compared to previous years? Maybe not comparing to the pandemic, but at least pre-pandemic. Are we worse than pre-pandemic? Are we a little bit mas maluwag because people are trying to save up?
Yes, ma'am. So, last September 2019 po, the pre-pandemic levels of EDSA was already at 405,000 vehicles every day. Before the Christmas season, it's almost the same po, around 400,000. However, because of the Christmas and holiday rush, we've already surpassed it po. It's already at 417,000 as of November 24, 2022.
Okay, well, ma'am, expected naman na lahat ng tao, yung traffic, and especially in December, heading into Christmas. I guess the other question right now is, what are we doing? Is there anything still within our control?
Yes, sir. So first, the mall operating hours, kinausap po ng aming chairman ng mga mall operators. Ngayon po naging 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. They are going to have sales po na gawin ang mga mall-wide sales sa weekend and for the deliveries to be done during the nighttime. We also have a moratorium po on road diggings and road excavations with the exception of government priority projects. Actually po, starting December 1 onwards, all the road diggings and road excavations should be properly restored. Third po, we are continuing our clearing operations in the Mabuhay lanes. So these Mabuhay lanes can be used as alternate routes when the major thoroughfares start becoming congested. And finally po, we've already extended po the work hours of our traffic enforcers. Dati hanggang 10 p.m., ngayon hanggang 12 midnight na po sila.
Okay, can you give us an idea of the dates to watch out for, no? Mas mahirap ba on Christmas Eve, on New Year's Eve, on Christmas Day? Mas maluwag ba? And at what point do you believe the traffic will go back to the at least 10% less than what we are experiencing now? Is that by the first week of January or matagal-tagal pa ba?
Yes, ma'am. So historically po, around December 19 to 23, we experience congestion po sa mga bus stations, bus terminals. This is the time po when people are going back to their provinces. So for these dates po, the MMDA will be in full force, especially in the provincial terminal areas. Usually po after December 23 or during Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, magaan na po ang traffic sa Metro Manila po.
Okay. Now, one quick thing people want to clarify, number coding, ano po ang i-expect natin in this final 2 weeks of the year. And beyond that, ano pa po ba mga payo natin at paalala sa ating mga driving and commuting public?
Yes, sir. So for the number coding, it is still at 7 to 10 a.m. at 5 to 8 p.m. So may window hour po from 10 to 5 p.m. So this year po, Christmas is on a Sunday, so wala po bang coding. Tapos the month of December, December 30 po, is also a holiday at wala pong coding on that day.
All right, thank you so much for those details and thank you for those tips as well to our viewers here on when exactly to leave and what they can do to ease the holiday traffic. Thank you so much, MMDA spokesperson Melissa Karunungan.
Now, after the break, the traditional Simbang Gabi has kicked off with thousands of Filipino Catholics attending the first pre-dawn mass earlier today. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching the big story here on One News. China's abrupt end to its COVID-0 policy has sparked concerns about overloaded hospitals and the possibility of another COVID-19 variant. Let's get more details from this Bloomberg report.
The virus is really hitting all of China at once. The forecast for deaths in China reached as high as over 2 million. China's road to reopening is a little bit like that Ernest Hemingway phrase, gradually and then suddenly. The pressure has really been building for a year now since the arrival of Omicron, because that variant is just so transmissible that China's classic playbook of lockdowns, mass testing was becoming less and less effective against stopping spread. Then there were these unprecedented protests that happened at the end of November, people taking to the streets, some even calling for presidency to step down. Since then, China has basically let it rip. All of these measures now have been overturned. The only thing that remains for China is these travel curbs that we expect to be eased quite soon as well. What we're seeing right now is that really initial stage of infection that we saw in so many other countries in early 2020, where, suddenly over a couple of days, almost everybody is infected. What's really worrisome coming after this stage is when serious illness and fatalities will set in. There's a lot of concern over how the elderly especially are under-vaccinated, and they're vaccinated with Chinese vaccines, which we know are not as effective as the Western mRNAs. The health system is under strain. Officials are telling people, please don't come to the hospitals unless you're seriously sick. They're trying to prioritize the most vulnerable. The virus is really hitting all of China at once. I think we can see the same thing really happen in all major cities over the next 6 to 8 weeks. We'll start to see fatalities in around 4 to 6 weeks, and then the infection curve will start to come down. But, as we've seen in so many other countries around the world, the waves keep coming back. There may be another variant, which is a really big unknown that experts are quite concerned about, because you're talking about 1.4 billion people. The more people get the virus, the more it evolves.
Simbang Gabi kicked off today. The Cultural Center of the Philippines will be holding its Simbang Gabi masses at the CCP main ramp. CCP will hold the traditional dawn masses every 5 a.m. until December 24. English and Filipino masses will also be made available online. Churchgoers are also in for a treat with the Manila Symphony Orchestra playing traditional tunes along with the Philippine Madrigal Singers.
The city government of Bacoor in Cavite is celebrating Christmas in style with digital decorations. Laila Pangilinan tells us more.
Christmas is really in the air in Bacoor City in Cavite. Their digital Christmas tree has been lit up. Christmas songs are being played in the background. The municipal hall is also clad with Christmas decorations, and several play areas for kids like inflatable slides and toys have been placed within the city hall grounds. These are just some of the sights to see.
Matagal-tagal talagang hindi nakalaro dahil sa pandemic. O ngayon, tuwang-tuwa yung mga bata. Tingnan mo naman, tuwang-tuwa yung mga bata.
As a late celebration to National Children's Month last November, kids wearing different Christmas costumes held a parade.
Masaya po ako kasi experience niya po yan para madala niya rin hanggang paglaki. Masaya po siya lalo na nakikita niya ang daming tao.
Bacoor City Mayor Strike Revilla said they considered the program as a form of Christmas gift to Bacoor residents for maintaining COVID-19 cases low throughout the year. But Revilla said this doesn't mean the public should be complacent. He reminded residents to get booster shots and continue practicing minimum health protocols, especially during this holiday season.
Ibabalik na yung ating normal na mga services, lalo na sa mga health sa mga barangay health centers po natin, kasi lahat tayo nag-concentrate sa COVID for the past 2 years. Mag-start na kami by 2023 January na babalik na tayo sa normal na pamumuhay natin dito.
For News 5, Laila Pangilinan, we are One News.
And with just about 2 weeks to go till 2023, let's take a look back at some of the year's biggest stories. Catch watch One News's year-end special Arat 2023 na, narrated by seasoned actor Ronaldo Valdez. That's this December 18th at 8:30 p.m. Tune in to Signal TV's Channel 8 and 250. You can also catch the year-end special on Signal Play Premium.
Well,
right?
Year
What are we going to be seeing there?
Yeah, lights,
scared.
colors, lots of reunions, parties, and traffic.
Exactly.
Pasko na nga.
Exactly. Well, hopefully, Rob, this will be the year to celebrate. I mean, the month to celebrate. Last 2 weeks to celebrate after a pretty tough year that we've had, all volatile. So sana naman 2023. Sabi ko nga, awat na instead of arat.
Always naman. Hindi naman nagpapaawat ang mga Pilipino pagdating sa Pasko. We know how to celebrate.
And we're here for it.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via our Signal Play app. So make a free account now. That's at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Dani Laurel. Stay safe, Philippines, and happy holidays. We are down to our last 9 days before Christmas.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.